right, beautiful people. So we've been talking about ratios and what ratios are. This week we're going to talk about what a ratio table is and how to set ratio tables up. So our essential question today is, what is a ratio table? So a ratio table is a way that mathematicians set up and organize equivalent ratios. Just a way to organize equivalent ratios. So as a reminder, I'm going to put this reminder in the side. Equivalent ratios are ratios that represent the same sort of problem. Ratios that represent the same quantity or the same comparison. Okay, so let's do an example of a few equivalent ratios. So EX. I have the ratio 1 to 2. I have the ratio 3 to 6. I have the ratio 7 to 14. Okay. Now, I know that these are equivalent ratios because they were given to me, but also because if I do a multiplicative relationship from the first number to the first number, 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so those ones are equivalent. Then 1 times 7 is 7. And 2 times 7 is 14. So I know that those are equivalent as well, which means they're all equivalent. So these are 3 equivalent ratios. Equivalent ratios. Okay, since these are equivalent ratios, what I can do is I can set them up as a table. So I can do quantity 1 and quantity 2. And I can set them up kind of like a fraction. So I take the first number and I put it in the first column of the table. And the second number lines up with that first column. So 1 to 2 right here, this combination, is this ratio, this first ratio. So then I take the second ratio, 3 to 6. And I'm going to put 3 first and 6 second. And then the third ratio, 7 to 14, I put 7 first and 14 second. Okay. Now I have a ratio table. This is let me erase that. Ratio table. Okay. It's a ratio table because 1 is organized like a table, and 2 because each of the pieces are equivalent ratios. So you'll notice that I've got this first pair, 1 to 2, the second pair, 3 to 6, and the third pair, 7 to 14. Notice that they line up. Okay. Now, another way to set up ratio tables is you can also set them up vertically, so you don't have to set them up horizontally. So I could do the same thing this direction. Q1 and Q2. So then I start with that first ratio, 1 to 2, 1 to 2. Then I do the second ratio, 3 to 6, 3 to 6. Then I do the last ratio, 7 to 14. Okay, it's the same sort of idea. And again, each of these things pair up. So 1 to 2, 3 to 6, and 7 to 14. Notice I've got each of those ratios in both of these ratio tables. So this again is a ratio table. Okay. All right, so those are ratio tables, and that's what we do with them. We just organize equivalent ratios. So let's look at a few ratio tables. Well, let's start by setting up some ratio tables. Okay, so we're going to set up a ratio table. So I have the equivalent ratios, 3 to 7, 9 to 21, and 15 to 35. Now let's check and make sure that they're equivalent just to check our answers. So 3 to 7, to get from that first number 3 to this first number 9, I multiply by 3. So then to get from 7 to 21, I also multiply by 3, which means these two are equivalent. Okay. To get from 3 to 15, I multiply by 5. All right. And to get from 7 to 35, I also multiply by 5. So again, those are equivalent, which means these are equivalent ratios. Okay. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to set up the table.